Do 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 do. Hey everybody, I'll show you a little thing I did just a second ago. See if you enjoyed as much as I did. It was quite entertaining. So this was created at 7 o'clock. It's 11:46. It's 4 hours and 45 minutes. I have not been working on this the whole time, but I have been working on this some of the time. Okay, so I pulled up this website called sketch.io, and it gave me a grid, and then I painted a background on it. And well, before I painted the background on it, I made this shape on the grid. Just wanted to express a little creativity and play with some geometry, which I love doing. And I was like, well, shoot. I was sort of researching into Chrome OS, Chromebooks, and sketch and graphic editing programs that you can use with Chrome OS on a Chromebook. And so Sketch came up, and I ended up playing with it. It's a tool I've played with before. I created this, and I was like, well, shoot. I currently have a MacBook, but I'm like, if I could use Chrome OS, a Chromebook, and use this same program, what features does it have? Can I actually paint with this program? Which is how I ended up getting to this tool and sort of flexing a little bit in it to see what it could do. This is sort of where I started. Got the shape, outline, painted a background. Sort of a backstory, but a starting point. And I was like, okay, well, let's see if I can fill this in. Does this cloud-based sketch program have richness to its features? Kinda. I mean, to be honest, it's pretty, but you can see that there's issues in its the feel. Just sort of grainy, noisy looking. But anyway, nonetheless, I was like, okay, I can work with that somehow, or at least I'll save this. Let's see, 6 minutes later. That was the 7. This is 6 minutes later. Alright, well, let's take this somewhere. What can we do with it? I would love to see it in the form of stained glass. Here's me looking at Chromebooks and Google Chrome, looking at Chrome Canary, looking at a ThinkPad, Yoga Chromebook, Acer Chromebook. ThinkPad's the way to go. I just haven't really found the right model. But anyway, I was like, okay, this door is not the right door for stained glass to go on there. You can obviously see the wood is cut in a certain way. It does not highlight or enhance this simulated stained glass. Nonetheless, I simulated the effect that I wanted to see with the creation that I made. This is 7:20, so this is 20 minutes after I started. Alright, got to piddling, cropped that out. I was like, alright, well, that's cool. I really had a notion after a while here to see if I can make an architectural magazine cover, or find this, find some way to make this look more realistic. And right now the outline, the sort of painted image I put on top of the door, doesn't really have the realness that I was looking for. So I was like, well, if I put it on a magazine cover, maybe it'll look more real. It just needs something to sort of give it some validity or to authenticate it or something to boost it up a little bit. So where are we at here? Okay, I found this magazine layout, just a flat magazine template, and I was like, all right, this is it. I can just see it. It's simple. It's got the features I'm looking for. 933. So there was a little bit of time in there where I was playing around with Facebook and other stuff. And let's see here. I found a website that generates ISBN barcodes, and I thought it was going. It said it generated ISBN barcodes with price, and I wanted it to say like US or USA 3870, and then like Canada, like I don't know, like 4725 or something. It was like that. What it calculates out to. I wanted it to show prices to give it a little more realness. Anyway, I made the barcode. I ended up looking up the font off of the cover where it says Arch, and this was one that was pretty close to it. If you go back here, you can see where at the bottom of the template there it has January and then year, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do something similar to that. When I replace that, I'll just put spring 2021. Okay, so I've got some elements. This is what it looked like when I got it in there flat. You can see that the image that I created in Sketch, the stained glass, is still not realistic looking. It's still got some like grainy noise to it. It look, it's just sort of painted. Where everything else is sort of real looking, it still looks fake. Everything else looks pretty good. So that's the element I began to work on. Dun, dun, dun. And I ended up adding some depth behind the window. It's actually on top of it in the layers. But the way that it looks, so on the front cover, I ended up cutting those windows out, or at least masking those windows, and using part of the same image that I used behind or over, in combination with the stained glass. I sort of took an image that I found and then made it look like it was either a reflection or it's behind the window. And at this point you really can't tell, and it really don't matter because it adds some realness, which is what we were looking for, what I was looking for. So that image by itself turned out to look something like this. This is the flat magazine template mock-up that I made. Probably got like, let's see, 9:30 to about 2 hours worth of time just playing with graphics right here. And sometimes you just go down a rabbit hole or a tangent, whatever you want to call it. In this case, I look at it like creative skill building, flexing the creative muscle just a little bit more than that original doodle. And I found because I still was like, this looks good, but it don't look real, like it's flat. It's one flat image. Magazines aren't flat. You're not going to look at a magazine and see it laying somewhere like this. So I was like, okay, what can I do? I'll see if I can find a three-dimensional magazine laying sort of in a split position, like the middle of the magazine is where you were left off and you sat it down and you kept your place and you set it on the table. That's what I was looking for. And I found this. And I was like, ooh, there's some curves in there. There's some light reflections in there. This is going to be a little bit tricky. But if I can pull this off, it's going to look really, really good. So I got that creative flex going and got at it. And as you can see here, there's in the bottom right corner in the browser is the image that I found. In the bottom left corner is the image I created. And then sort of in the middle top is me starting to position the graphics that I created over this three-dimensional I guess it's a three-dimensional mock-up, but anyway, rendering, whatever you want to call it. You'll notice, I didn't notice at first, but the image that I'm putting on that up top is the earlier pattern. It doesn't have the tree in it, so it's like the painted version. And I did a lot of work on that, and then I realized that it wasn't the final image that I'd created, so I had to delete it and start over. Anyway, I also got a notion. Let me go back here because you can see it. Also, the way that it best laid, when I got to working on the okay, let me go back to this one. I painted these pages blank, and then I copied one and made a duplicate of it, and that's the front cover that's swung open. You'll notice both sides, the front and back cover, have light reflections. The way I got to tinkering with this image and got to playing with it, it really laid best, and I think it looked the best, and it gave it more photorealism to not mess with the dimensions of that page that I'd copied over, but just sort of fix the alignment to where it looked like the front cover was open. You know, that front cover swung open, you see the first page, and then you see the back cover, and it sort of gives it just a little more depth. And if you look back at the other image that I started with, it's a little more flat. So this was taking it to a little bit different level, and you know, this is not the sort of work that I do every day, but today's exercise was just sort of proof that that's something that I can do. Anywho, I got to playing around with all these different transform graphics and or modifiers within this program. So I ended up with this. After I got everything sort of laid out there, you can see that the second page is still gray. There was nothing done there, and I was like, you know, I've gone this far, that's just not gonna work. So I found a credits page. I knew that I wasn't gonna display most of it, so I just copied it over and put it in the spot, which has got a highlight around it right there, and color matched it, and shebang. So after all that hard work, it's 11:27. I've probably got two and a half, maybe 3 hours in playing with this, which I had a ball, by the way. And I'm looking at this and I'm like, you know, I've put all this energy into this, and this is just part of flexing that creative muscle. I've put all this energy into this. I mean, there's some of the dimensions that are off. I'm not going to get into the perfection aspects of it because I spent so much time playing with it and getting it to this point. You could get meticulous and say some of the aspect ratios are off and some of the Rotational aspects are off. But considering what I started with, at this point, I don't care. But what I did notice is that I wasn't satisfied with is on the front cover that spring 2021 just looked a little bit blurry to me, and I was like, I'm not looking at this with sleepy eyes, and that's if I can make that better, I need to make that better, or at least I want to. So I spruced it up a little bit. You can see in comparison, sharpened that up a little bit. The window got better, the reflection got better, the logo got sharper. And spring 2021 is much more readable. And then I was like, well, that's good. That's all good and all. But now the back cover looks blurry, Spring 2021 looks a little bit too hot compared to that barcode, which looks like, you know, it's just hard to read. So that's not going to work. Let me see if I can do it to the back cover. So I did it to the back cover. Comparison. And at this point, I am satisfied. I am proud of this. This is probably, like I said, about 3 hours worth of work. Um, you know, just making something on the fly from scratch right here. And yeah, literally turning the dream into reality, the inner vision into a thing. So, yeah, that's been done, and I can do that. That's exciting, and it was a lot of fun. So, you know, how much better can it get? You get a skill, you had a good time getting it, you were teaching yourself, learning, just sort of scratching around and seeing what you can come up with. So, yeah, stay tuned for more exciting things happening in the world because that's pretty much what's always going on. Thanks for watching.